Hello, everyone. Welcome to a very special bonus episode of Uncanny Tracks, where we take a break from the two great 90s space station shows to talk about Roland Emmerich's latest cinematic masterpiece, now streaming on Hobo Max. That is Moonfall, 2022's Moonfall.
Yeah, Moonfall. So we aren't going to recap this movie scene for scene or anything, but we are going to hit like the major plot points of the film. So it's spoilers if you haven't watched this on HBO Max. Honestly, at this point, I would say if you want some really dumb entertainment and you have 2 hours on your hands, go watch it.
Two and a half.
2.5 hours, 2.5 hours on your hands, go watch it. It's not bad. It's okay.
Yeah, I should say the guy really concerned about recognizing Roland Emmerich's autorial genius. That's me. That's Bob in Cascadia. The guy really concerned about you not spoiling yourself on Moonfall is Matt in the Southland. How the hell are you doing tonight, Matt?
Doing pretty well, Bob. I survived the film.
Would you say you're stronger for the experience, Matt?
Probably. I had to really pay close attention to this movie as I was watching it because I don't know if this is Roland Emmerich's usual style, but man, they cut between scenes, characters, and everything. Every 10 seconds, something else was happening, all the way to the end of the film. like,
There's a lot going on. What was your familiarity with Roland Emmerich before this movie, Matt?
primarily Independence Day,
Yeah, no,
and then
makes sense.
the Godzilla movie. That was it.
Yeah, I've seen a couple more. I will say I wouldn't call myself a Roland Emmerich fan, but I really do appreciate the fact that he's the most conspiracy theorist of any major director. And although I've not seen the movies, I just really appreciate the fact that he's like made movies about global warming being a hoax, and William Shakespeare not being the author of the William Shakespeare plays. Like, I don't believe those conspiracy theories, but I'm just glad somebody's out there making movies about them.
Thank you, Roland, for what you do.
Yeah, thank you for your service, sir. All right, so Matt, what was the last thing you remembered seeing Halle Berry in?
Yeah, with Halle Berry being the primary star in this film, I was surprised to see that this was the film she's kind of making a return in. She hasn't been in a lot since Days of Future Past.
I get the feeling she didn't have many other options.
Yeah,
Poor
she was
girl.
in Days of Future Past.
Yeah, but she's just like in the end of that, right?
Yeah, she just shows up for like a really small part of Storm and shoots some lightning. But the most recent thing I actually read about her was that in her first film role, which was Spike Lee's Jungle Fever, she played a crack hoe named Vivian. And to prepare for the role, she didn't shower for 2 straight weeks, which I found absolutely disgusting.
Hey man, method acting is important, and Jungle Fever is actually a very good movie.
Yeah, I've never actually seen it.
Early Spike Lee is great, man.
No.
Late Spike Lee, a little bit more hit or miss, but early Spike Lee is great.
But I also remember her from a bunch of other movies. She was in Catwoman, Die Another Day, Monsters Ball, Swordfish, and the forgettable Flintstones movie where she tried to seduce John Goodman's Fred. So,
Oh yeah, yeah. I never forget that. she did. She did win the Oscar for Monsters Ball, didn't she?
yeah.
Nice, nice. I guess you had a lot of blow by blow for this movie we needed to cover.
Yeah, I'm just going to start off, Bob. The film opens up with these astronauts in space doing astronaut shit, and they're they're listening to Toto's Africa. Did you know it was
Yes,
Bless the Rains in Toto's Africa?
I did, but I could understand someone being confused.
Yeah. And do you think astronauts really fuck around like that in space, Bob?
I would hope so. I mean, man, you got to have some enjoyment in your life.
I mean, I guess it's just like any other job, but to me, I've always thought they've been like super like professional and never do anything weird. But then I'm thinking, well, most people see other professions as that. So, well, anyway, one of the astronauts dies from this these scary robot tentacle black things, whatever. And then 10 years go by, and we're introduced to John Bradley's character, who is a conspiracy theorist. He works in a restaurant or a fast food restaurant with a jackass for a boss. Do you ever have a workplace like that, Bob?
Oh, I have, Matt. I have. I worked for a French woman once. It was the worst thing. It was the worst thing ever.
Yeah, he was an asshole. But anyway, he's a conspiracy theorist, works in a fast food place. He has a mom who has Alzheimer's or dementia or something. It's not really, they don't really go into detail about it. But it did take me a little while, Bob, to realize that the lovable night watchman from Game of Thrones, Sam Tarly, that's John Bradley. I didn't realize this.
Really, because we realized it like straight up. That was and just referred to him as Tarly for the rest of the movie.
Yeah, it threw me
Um,
it threw me for a loop for a minute, and I was like, oh.
No, I hate him on Game of Thrones. I hate him here. Oh God, he's the worst.
Well, we also find out, Bob, that we'll call him Tarly from this point forward, so that you're familiar.
Thank you,
Tarly
thank
has
you.
a cat, and his name is Fuzz Aldrin. Why is Fuzz Aldrin the best cat name we've never thought of, Bob?
I mean, it's a great cat name, but I just really don't want to give Tarly anything, Matt. So I'm really in a I'm really in a dilemma here. I wrote down this line as if it was self-evident who said it, and now I don't remember who said it, but I still feel like this line says a lot about the film, and that is the damn moon is hollow, Matt.
Yeah, Bob, Tarly said that
Oh, okay. That was he was
when he's
screaming that
talking
on
to
the
the children
phone.
in the museum. So,
The damn moon is hollow.
so there's like there's another character in this movie, and I can't remember his name, but he's like the main character. What is the dude's name, Bob?
Oh God, I
Shit.
he's a semi-famous actor who's also slumming it.
Yeah,
But he was so forgettable that I didn't put him in the notes once. Patrick Wilson is the
Patrick
actor. We'll
Wilson.
just call him
Okay,
Patrick Wilson.
yeah, we'll just call him Patrick Wilson. Anyway, Patrick Wilson, he he was a bit of a hot shot. He did a bunch of dumb shit with like he landed a space shuttle the wrong way or some shit, and then he takes the blame for the guy that died in space from the aliens. He and Sam Tarley got to get together somehow, and Tarley comes up with this idea. He finds out this guy is going to give a presentation at a museum. So Tarley shows up at the museum with his crackpot theories. That's how they meet.
And wouldn't you know it, Matt? Tarley's crackpot theories are correct, and the damn moon is hollow.
Yeah, and then they say, "Put that in your pipe and smoke it."
Hey,
Wasn't that funny, Bob?
yeah, yeah.
Didn't you laugh
Speaking
out
of,
loud when that was said?
I might have giggled.
You might have giggled a little bit.
So I have a question for you. My friends and I are a concerted opinion that Hollywood's continual underuse of Michael Pena is a great crime. He plays like the stepfather to Patrick Wilson's kids in this movie, and I just wanted to, do you share our opinion that Michael Pena is an acting genius and needs to be leading these movies, not just playing the friendly stepfather in them?
He really should be, and I feel like his whole arc in this story was just tacked on.
Very much so.
Yeah, he
Very
reminds
much
me
so.
of John Leguizamo. I don't know if you remember him from the '90s.
Oh, of course I remember John Leguizamo.
Yeah,
How could I forget?
there were a lot of times I think that Michael Pena is just like older John Leguizamo, which I mean
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
probably not a that sounds kind of bad, but they are very similar looking.
Racist but plausible.
Do you know it's not? There we go again. Damn. So as you can already tell, Bob, there's a lot going on already in this film, and we're only like 10 minutes in. We've got stepdads, we've got a dude, we've got astronauts, aliens, three main characters. We learn about Halle Berry's kid's nanny. They shove so much in this in the first 10
I, I,
minutes.
I hope we all had fun learning about how the damn moon is hollow.
Yeah.
But the real lesson of this movie is that family life is complicated in this complex, ever changing modern world. That's the real lesson of this
Yeah.
movie.
I mean, and they immediately send up a probe to find out what's wrong. And
Hmm.
like so we already know like what's going on and what's happening within the first 10 minutes with all these interconnected characters that I really don't care about at this point. I have ADD, but this is a bit much. Like even especially for a 2.5 hour film. So I'm sitting here, I kept hitting the pause button to see how far in we were, and I was like, whoa, we're not even like 15 minutes in, and I've already have like the whole plot laid out in front of me.
Yeah, man. Emmerich don't waste time. He don't
Yeah.
waste time.
The main idea though we get to is that we get this crackpot theory that the moon is this mega structure that's powered by a star. Can you please tell me, Bob, this is not something that people actually believe?
I, you know, I don't think it's a major conspiracy theory because I think I'm pretty up on the major conspiracy theories. I'm not sure that it isn't something people believe, but I don't think it's like up there with like lizard people or QAnon or stuff like that. I don't think it's that intense, but maybe it's something people believe.
I mean, there are people that believe we didn't go to the moon.
Oh yeah, yeah, that's a major one. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, it blew my mind. But then we find out, Bob, that through learning about some kind of like attacks, like we get to see these weird astronauts get their helmets bashed in by Matrix tentacle aliens of some sort.
That in some way that kind of maybe betrays the premise because it's like I can get you with you on the moon falling and I can get with you on the moon being hollow, but I don't know the AI aliens was a bit much.
Come on, Bob. AI tentacles versus hollow moon spaceships. It's amazing.
So, Matt, I really enjoyed the portrayal of the tides being affected by the moon getting close to the Earth in this movie, but it sounds like you had some issues.
Yeah, Bob, I did. As the moon is falling, I'm no scientist, but I'm going to just go out on a limb and say that the tides would be more like a tsunami than the hurricane flooding we see in this film. It's not just going to come to your waist. You're not going to be able to take a nap in a hotel like they did, like with their
But
bathrobes. Remember that scene?
it's like the moon is still circling as it's falling, Matt. So as it moves off, the tsunami gets less worse. That's how it works.
Oh, is that how it works, Bob? So
It's
you can tell me
science.
that the water's only going to come up to about 4 feet, right? Not.
Look, I'm gonna sit here and tell you that if Neil deGrasse Tyson told us that Interstellar was a realistic depiction of space travel, I can sit here and tell you that this is a realistic depiction of the moon falling. That's all I'm
Oh
saying.
shit! You got pwned. Halle Berry's character, through some sort of event I forget, becomes the director of NASA, and then it gets
Yep.
what's called Q clearance. And I'm
Yep.
sure that was intentional, right, Bob? That's
Well, I mean, Q clearance is a real thing, right? That is like what they call top secret clearance. But the fact that you pointedly said it was Q clearance, I have to believe that Roland Emmerich was throwing some red meat to the QAnon people. I just have to believe that.
so. Halle Berry is tasked with figuring out how she can fix this problem of putting the moon back where it needs to be. And as this shit is going down, everybody decides they need to go to Colorado because of the higher elevation. It's I guess is what they were going for, right?
Because of the moon flooding, Matt, like, you were worried that the flooding would only get up to your waist, but no, clearly it's going to get up just to the base of the Colorado Rockies.
So
That's the moon
let's go to
flooding caused.
the highest point in America. Let's go up to the Colorado Rockies. Okay, and
Yeah, yeah.
everybody goes there, but you only see like a couple of people actually show up. So
Well, Matt, I mean, most people just die in this movie. That's the kind of dark, depressing underside that
yeah,
doesn't pay
I'm
much
pretty
to think
sure
about.
billions died. Like I mean
Yeah,
billions.
yeah.
Yeah. Hallie's trying to come up with an idea how to fix all this. Her son comes up and has a toy space shuttle. And oh, we get epiphany number one, Bob. We could use the space shuttle.
Gotta
I
roll
was
that
like,
space
no
shuttle out.
shit, your spaceship to get to space.
Hey, man, sometimes you need the wisdom of a child to see what's blindingly obvious.
Somehow, Tarly and Wilson end up in front of Halle Berry. There's stuff that happens. And we find out that Tarly's character has high anxiety. And I will say that
Oh, quite.
the anxiety over the mops is legit. Like that's what I'm like if I don't take my meds. Like, there's a scene where he mentions that he like lost two mops as a janitor or something, and yeah, it's legit. That's real
Well, I,
anxiety.
I think it was he lost two mops while pretending to be a janitor to steal stuff from a NASA. I thought maybe I'm misremembering
I
that.
think yeah. Well, I'm sure it was in the first like there was a 5 second scene about it somewhere. But man, this movie's crazy at the pace.
Matt, were you disappointed that they didn't cue up Aerosmith on the soundtrack for this movie?
Yeah, Bob, this film is Armageddon at this point. It legit is Armageddon.
But with the moon instead of an asteroid, it's much cooler.
Okay, I'll give you that. Yeah, it is much cooler because that Aerosmith song, they played the hell out of that song, and it was okay for like the first 30 times you hear it, and then after that, it's just,
But the
no.
35th time, dear
Yeah,
God.
yeah, you're tired of hearing it. That was the '90s. They played the same song over and over again on the radio. I have to say the pace of this film too, Bob. Cash is already worthless like within the first like day or two of the moon falling.
Indeed.
Yeah, I just so
I,
we're hit with they do make it into space, Bob. They get up there with their ship, and we have Epiphany number two. Fly the shuttle
it's
with only two engines, and the gravity will pull it the rest of the way. And even though our engineer is dead, we can the guy with IBS, Tarly, we'll just put him on the shuttle with us. Sound good to you?
yeah, man. You're
Yeah,
gonna
yeah,
you're gonna use the moon's gravity to escape the Earth's gravity, dog.
yeah. It's brilliant. It's brilliant. Look at that
Yeah.
epiphany. And then we're greeted with the best part ever, Bob. Gravity waves.
Hey man, it was pretty entertaining. Just the random scenes where gravity ceases to function. Very cool. Very cool.
Really, really big ass waves. These are the tsunami waves I was talking about earlier, but they're just going to drive away from those. Yeah, there's a scene literally where a giant ass wave is coming toward them, and they're like, "We need to get in the car." And they get in the car, and I want you to let you know, Bob, this is an advertisement for Lexus. This movie is like part advertisement for Lexus.
Look, Matt, the budget for the gravity wave scenes doesn't pay for itself.
Yeah.
You gotta get the product placement in there.
$140 million is how much it cost to make this film, Bob. 140 million.
Hey, man, I'm glad people are still going hungry. It was worth it to see this.
But anyway, they get into space, and you think much a scientist would have like thought about the issues of flying through debris in a craft that isn't very maneuverable, like the space shuttle. So the
Uh-huh.
top of the space shuttle gets torn off and all this other crap, and they're like hitting all the rocks. And of course, a scene later, he ejects a smaller spacecraft into space. Why did they
So
just take the
curious.
smaller damn craft up there, and then they would have had the engine problem? It's so stupid. Like, not the lander, the little space thing that he was flying across. It was like it was a compact spaceship. I just have a lot to argue about here, Bob, with this film. But we do move on to Epiphany number 3, where we find out that the aliens are seeking out organic matter in an electronic environment. Was that a cool thing for you, Bob?
Not really, but I did sort of enjoy the lazy puzzling through the plot of the movie. It was somewhat entertaining.
Well, that's the reason they have to smash their phones and smash every other piece of electronic equipment they have in the spaceship,
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
including the
it's
detonator button for their EMP. Oh, I did forget to mention that part of the film. There's this like EMP generator that's going to take out the robots. Now, if this sounds familiar, folks, that's because this is the exact same shit that happened in the third Matrix movie.
Oh, really?
Like point by point. They
How do you remember that well?
they go to the machine planet, Bob, and they got
Oh,
EMPs.
wow.
EMPs are all yeah, it's the same shit.
I knew the tentacle aliens was a Matrix reference, but I didn't realize that they lifted the EMP thing. Huh.
Oh yeah,
Leave
the
it.
whole all their ships were like that. They had to do an EMP generator. They had to go silent as the Matrix machines or whatever were coming after their ship. They would pop the EMP generator and it would kill them. It's the same idea, same concept.
Leave it to Roland Emmerich to steal from the worst Matrix movie.
Well, and on top of that too, Roland Emmerich decided to include two looter subplots that
Hey,
are
man,
very unnecessary.
it's important to keep us grounded with what's going on the world as the moon is falling towards us and cash is worthless.
Yeah, the moon's falling towards us, cash is worthless, but there's looters everywhere. Other characters that are remaining on Earth who I have absolutely zero interest in, including like Sonny as one of them, I think, who
Yes, yes.
gets arrested at the
Patrick Wilson's
beginning and
boy.
has his
Yeah.
yeah, that guy. Yeah, he gets held up like twice in the span of 10 minutes. Like,
Look, man, I got news for you. If the moon starts falling, I start looting. Them's the rules.
okay, but do you really have to hold people up though? I mean, can you just
Yes.
take shit and go on? Well, this looting subplot though does lead to a car chase where you have a Lexus that has to jump something, and they change, and the character switches over from eco mode to sports mode, and they made sure to show it in the film. And the looters go, "We gotta catch him. We need that oxygen."
Very important. Very important.
Classic line. They finally get inside the moon. I got DS9 emissary vibes from the Construct at first when they're talking to Wilson.
Well, I mean, like the wormhole, Matt, the moon is apparently an artificial creation. So, why
Yeah,
not? Why not?
yeah. But I also got Architect vibes. Remember that from the second Matrix movie?
Oh,
Where there's a
no,
construct.
I tried to forget it, honestly.
Jeez. A lot of Matrix here. I will say this though, it also got vibes. You remember Jodie Foster's Contact that we saw when we were kids? Because you didn't want to see Men in Black.
I mean, Men in Black did suck too, but I think that's always the thing. Like when you're doing an alien movie, you just got to go like law of least resistance and like show the alien as like someone who's emotionally important to the character. It's just what you do. In Contact, it's Jodie Foster's dad. Here, it's Patrick Wilson's stepson, or not stepson, Patrick Wilson's son.
Well, the construct gives Wilson all the knowledge he needs about our previous civilization or ancestors who had to
Do you get
abandon
it?
Earth
Do you
and
get it, Matt? They're aliens, but they're us.
yeah, and
Aliens, but they're
fly a
us.
moon. They escaped in a moon. I don't
Yeah.
know somehow. And they mentioned that these nanotech, the nanotech AI that went rogue on them, which is just like The Matrix. This is a damn prequel to The Matrix, Bob. That's what this really is. I'm serious. Like, you could
Yeah.
fit this film before the first Matrix and it would make sense.
Well, basically, this film is QAnon, but it shares the idea with the Matrix that what if the real conspiracy, what if the real cabal was artificial intelligence?
Well, now that Wilson is the one who can do shit, like, just like Keanu Reeves' character, he has these, like, alien powers, and he can, like, open doors and shit on the moon and cause all the other spaceships that are there to shoot their lasers at the AI nanotech tentacle things. But he does sound like a crackpot when he's talking because the whole
Yeah,
theory is insane.
yeah. I mean, that's the sort of the idea of the movie, right? Is it goes from Tarly being the crackpot to Patrick Wilson being the crackpot.
And it bothers me a little bit, Bob, because with the sappy ending of Tarly sacrificing himself, I worry that conspiracists are going to feel validated.
Hey, man, I also believe that conspiracy theorists should live on as AI simulations inside the moon.
But don't worry, Bob, because this film does give us something that I knew we needed to have. With this gravity thing, I
Yep,
really needed a big, long jump in low gravity, and we got
yep,
it. So thank you for throwing that in there at the end.
yep. So, Matt, are you excited for the setup for the sequel with Tarly in the moon?
No, Bob, I'm really
You're not
not.
you're not going to watch the sequel, Matt?
No, I don't think I will, unless you make me and for this podcast.
Do you think they're actually going to make the sequel?
No, I think they threw that in there just in case. Bob, the film only made $10 million on its $140 million budget. I mean, they're not going anywhere with this. Sorry, it's just not going anywhere.
I mean, apparently the original plan was for a trilogy.
They probably want their own little universe here of crazy people. And who's the guy that does Scientology? That's
That's Hubbard.
yeah. This kind of reminds me of like his shit. Like they were trying to like create their own crackpot like thing for how Earth really could be.
Ancestral aliens and what have you.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Look, man, I'm gonna lay it out for you. You've heard about the MCU, right? The Marvel
Yes,
Cinematic Universe.
yes.
What if we had a better MCU, the Moon Cinematic
Oh
Universe?
God, is it better than the Dark Universe or whatever that shit was that was going to have the Mummy and the Universal aliens?
Honestly, yes.
All right,
Like
Universal
this is.
Monsters. Excuse me,
I
Universal
mean, this
Monsters.
is not a good movie, but it's way better than the Tom Cruise Mummy movie, I would say.
So if you're still listening to this, folks, which I hope you are, I know that sounded extremely disjointed, but that's what this movie was. It was like boom, 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 like nonstop.
Matt has an artistic commitment to capturing the feel and flow of the film.
Yeah, it was insane. It's a ride, is what it is. But
So Matt,
not a very fun ride though. I mean,
oh,
it's entertaining, but no, I wouldn't say fun.
so Matt, who is your favorite character of the movie?
Uh, I guess Halle Berry. I mean, it's her film.
I mean, really, it's more Patrick Wilson's film, but I'm still gonna say it's Halle Berry's film.
Yeah, while certain aspects of like Brad of Tarly's, are relatable. Others are left field and just make him like really annoying. So give them that.
Yeah. I did think it was weird and funny how like Halle Berry was the locus, even though like Tarly is the conspiracy theorist, Halle Berry is the locus for a lot of the QAnon nods. Not only the QAnon thing that you mentioned, but like she gets mad at the previous director of NASA for lying to the public, which felt very much like red meat for QAnon. So I don't know, it's just kind of funny that Halle Berry is, become the face of Moon QAnon, as it were.
Yeah. And when it comes to like the minor characters, though, Bob, I really don't have a favorite minor character. All the minor characters got on my nerves big time, and I felt like they didn't need to be there. Even
Not even
Peanut's
Michael
character
Pena.
was annoying as
Oh,
hell. Like I didn't
well,
really care for him.
he sacrificed himself to save his daughter, man.
Yeah. But the whole
And he
like
was
stepdad thing of like I was on the phone trying to get you out of jail, Sonny. We were gonna come back and get you and all this shit. Like I, I don't care. Like he was just a bad
and you
character
you
all
loved
over.
the Lexus product placement, and he was essential for that. He was a Lexus dealer, dog.
Yeah, I know, Bob. He had to be there for that. He had to have a Lexus dealer, and his cars had to be in pristine condition during a disaster.
So I would say that favorite minor character was Donald Sutherland. I just thought it was perfect symmetry. In JFK in 1991, Donald Sutherland explains to us the JFK assassination. In Moonfall in 2022, Donald Sutherland explains to us that the moon is hollow. There's a perfect symmetry there.
Now his character was the guy who was in the wheelchair.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, yeah.
And
There's one scene. I guess I left that out of the thousands of scenes we had to go through. But there's one scene where we find out they've been hiding information about the aliens, and yeah, Donald Sutherland's the one who has to keeps up with the archives.
Yes, yes, he's the one who Q pills Halle Berry on the moon. So, who was your least favorite character of this movie, Matt?
Wilson's son, known as Sonny, for being a dick in front of NASA and then getting pissed because his stepdad went to the mountains without him. Couldn't stand
Yeah,
that guy. That whole plot could have gone away. And then Barry's military ex-husband sucked too. See,
yeah.
everybody was
I
connected in this film. Like you got this like five-star general. Barry's the director of NASA. These are like everybody's got a really cool job except for Tarly, who's just a janitor.
He's not a janitor. He's a pastrami fast food place
Oh,
salesman.
that's
He
right.
just pretends to be a janitor to spy on people.
Does this
So
movie sound great, folks? Keep going.
I agree with you that Sonny's bad, and I agree. I liked the guy playing Barry's ex husband, but they didn't give him anything worthwhile to do. I don't know. I do have to say I think I hate Tarly from Thrones so much that I would give it to him. Be the worst character of the movie, especially when he actually asked what would Elon do. Like I nearly cut myself when he did that.
Yeah, and there's also a very specific scene I don't like him either. It's I hate the scene where he says that he was almost a janitor at NASA, and then proceeds to do like science stuff on the board that the scientists didn't realize before, that the actual NASA scientists didn't realize before. I hate those kind of scenes.
So, what was your favorite visual of the movie, Matt?
When they're flying inside the moon, because you know Tarly's probably filling his pants with shit as they do it,
Nice, nice.
but they don't. There's no payoff for the whole IBS joke. Like there's none. They never go back to it or reference it.
Oh man, so for me it would be the montage of the moon when it first pops up in the sky and the tides get crazy. I thought that was pretty funny.
Yeah, half this film is just like people playing peekaboo with the moon. So get
It's
ready.
great. Good night, moon. So, what was your favorite piece of action, Matt?
When they're flying around Moonopolis to lure out the machine, you know, and he's like
Oh,
going high
nice.
speed.
Good term, Moonopolis. Why'd you
Moonopolis.
save that one so late? That was great. I will say that the visuals of gravity failing were deeply stupid, but very funny.
Yeah, there's no science behind that, folks. I don't think so. Please
Yeah.
don't try to
Any
justify it.
regrets you want to lay on us about this movie, Matt?
So this was entertaining and a dumb disaster film. I really wish it was a little shorter and that they had cut most of the scenes that didn't involve like the actual people that are going to space.
Yeah, it definitely could have been shorter. My regret is I just wish it had gone even deeper into conspiracy theories. Like I said, Emmerich has made movies denying climate change and Shakespeare's authorship, and I wanted more of that energy in this movie. So, Matt, as a kind of palate cleanser, what's your favorite disaster movie?
You ever watch Dante's Peak?
Never did, never did.
Yeah, it's terrible. But most disaster films aren't that great, Bob. So that's just one I remember, and it was an
I
okay film back in the day. So we'll just say that.
Okay.
Stars Pierce
I
Brosnan.
I highly recommend the Swedish sci-fi film Anara. I think it's a great disaster film. So, Matt, it wouldn't be a bonus episode if I didn't make you rank something. Rank your Roland Emmerich movies for the listeners.
Well, I'm only ranking the ones I've seen, so I'm gonna say Stargate's number one,
All right,
Independence Day,
all right,
Moonfall,
all right.
and that shitty 1998 Godzilla film.
Look, that is not a good Godzilla movie. It's still better than any other American Godzilla movie ever made.
Okay.
Have you seen The Patriot? You've not seen Mel Gibson in The Patriot?
Oh, The Patriot. Yes, I have seen that. I'm sorry, I don't realize that.
Where would you put Patriot?
We would put Patriot after Moonfall before Godzilla.
Important,
So
important.
it has been added. There you go. So
Great, great. So yeah, I would go fairly similarly, but I would go Stargate, Universal Soldier, Moonfall, Godzilla, Independence Day, Patriot.
okay, help me out here. Universal Soldier. I know the name of it. Who does that star?
Man, it's been a long time. I believe it's Jean Claude Van Damme.
That's right. Okay, I knew it had some action star in it. That was the main thing, the main attraction for that. I haven't seen it though.
The weird thing about the Universal Soldier film franchise, the original, it's fine. It's not that great. And then the first two sequels, not that great. But I believe it's let me see. I believe it's the fourth and the fifth Universal Soldiers are the good ones.
Jesus Christ, that's a lot of Universal Soldier films. That needs a reboot,
E-
guys. We need a reboot, remake. Come on, let's go.
Okay, so there's Universal Soldier. There's two direct to TV movies, Universal Soldiers 2 and 3. Then There's a theatrical sequel, Universal Soldier of the Return, where Van Damme comes back, and that ignores the two TV movies. And then there are two other sequels, so I guess these would be 5 and 6, although they're not numbered: Regeneration and Day of Reckoning. And that's the good stuff. They ignore the return and just go back to the sequels to the original movie.
Yeah, that's a lot like a RoboCop. Same kind of idea, the way they set those up. Everybody ignores the third, but there were a bunch of TV shows in between, so they count the TV shows.
I mean, it is pretty wild that I mean, Roland Emmerich has like launched two, kind of sci-fi franchises that have endured, and he's tried to do it with Moonfall. It doesn't look like Moonfall will be one that endures, but like Universal Soldier and Stargate are like still in development for more stuff. So it's kind of funny. I guess in a way you'd have to say he's like our most prolific sci-fi director or our most prolific sci-fi franchise director.
Moonfall's not going anywhere, guys, so don't get excited for a sequel.
Don't worry, Matt. When they do the Universal Soldier sequel, I'll make you watch it.
Awesome. Can't wait.
Oh man, I love it when your voice gets that kind of like beaten down, sad tone to it. All right. Well, this has been a very random episode of Uncanny Track where we cover Moonfall. Thanks for sticking with us.
Thanks for listening.